Welcome to News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepore. The Movement Control Order MCO enforced in Pulau Pinang, Selangor, Sabah, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Labuan, Johor, Melaka and Kelantan has been extended for 9 more days until the 4th of February. Senior Minister for Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the decision was made following the surge in positive cases over the past 14 days between the 7th and 20th January. Explaining further, he said most districts in these states are also declared as red zones with the virus believed to be spreading within the local community.
Di atas penilaian risiko dan nasihat daripada Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, sidang khas bertuju untuk melanjutkan PKP di Pulau Pinang, Selangor, Melaka, wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya dan Labuan, Johor, Kelantan dan Sabah dilanjutkan sehingga 4 Februari 2021 yang kita seragamkan dengan tarikh tamat di negeri-negeri lain yang baru diumumkan minggu lepas.
Previously, the government announced that the respective states will be placed under MCO from 13th until 26 January. Meanwhile, the Enhanced Movement Control Order EMCO implemented at Westlight Workers Hostel in Taman Perindustrian Tambor Jaya, Johor Bahru is scheduled to end tomorrow. The Senior Minister said the Health Ministry's assessment revealed that COVID-19 cases at the hostel showed a downward trend and no more samples were taken. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also announced that eateries and restaurants are allowed to operate until 10 p.m. beginning tomorrow. He said the decision was made following complaints by public and operators regarding the current stipulated operating hours.
Dine-in ataupun makan di kedai masih di restoran masih tidak dibenarkan. Ianya masih lagi kekal iaitu untuk dibawa pulang. Pesanan untuk food delivery juga kita buka sehingga pukul 10 malam.
The Senior Minister added this ruling includes restaurants, hawkers, roadside stalls and other forms of services involving food. The government had initially allowed for food businesses to operate until 8 p.m. during the MCO. Malaysia today recorded 3,170 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the cumulative number of cases reported since the outbreak began in February last year to 172,549 cases. In a press conference today, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said from the figure, 8 were imported cases, while the remaining 3,162 were local transmissions.
Negeri Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur melaporkan kes harian baru tertinggi iaitu sebanyak 576 kes bersama dengan 18.2%. Daripada jumlah ini, sebanyak 310 kes iaitu 56.9% adalah daripada kluster-kluster dan saringan kontak rapat COVID-19 yang aktif dijalankan di lapangan. Ini diikuti oleh negeri Selangor sebanyak 545 kes iaitu bersamaan dengan 17.2% dan negeri Johor sebanyak 423 kes bersamaan dengan 13.2%.
Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham added that the current number of active cases stands at 41,755 cases, with 260 patients are receiving treatment in ICU, where 103 of them requiring respiratory assistance. He also said 2,490 new recoveries from the virus were logged, making the overall number of recoveries so far stands at 130,152 individuals. The Health DG also announced 12 new deaths related to the virus were reported today, taking the country's death toll to 642. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham added that 16 new clusters were reported, bringing the total number of active clusters to 327 after another 7 declared inactive today. All passengers are required to show a letter of permission from the police before they can be allowed to board the ferries in Kedah. Human Resources and Operation Manager, Ferry Line Ventures Sendirian Berhad, Captain Baharin Baharum said this directive is in line with the implementation of the Movement Control Order MCO in the state. Explaining further, he said previously only passengers from outside of Kedah were required to submit the letter.
Jika sebab ini hanya penumpang-penumpang di luar ni Kedah saja diperlukan surat kebenaran PDRM. Namun mulai besok 22 Januari semua penumpang sama ada penduduk Langkawi maupun penduduk di Kedah Dua Aman memerlukan surat kelulusan PDRM untuk melintas negeri menggunakan feri Langkawi.
Ferry operations are allowed just for a day trip from Langkawi to Kuala Kedah and vice versa during the MCO period, while trips between Langkawi and Kuala Perlis are temporarily suspended. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industries, MAFI, today launched the MAFI Prihatin mission, which aims to help ease the burden of residents affected by floods. The initiative by its Minister, Datuk Sri Dr. Ronald Hyandi, will involve 4 parliamentary constituencies in Pahang, including Lipis, Jerantut, Kuala Krau and Maran. In a release statement, MAFI said the mission will include the delivery of food aid, basic necessities and electrical equipment from contributions of various departments and agencies under the ministry. Among the organizations contributed to the effort include Federal Agricultural Marketing Authority, Farmers Organization Authority, National Fishermen's Association and Fisheries Development Authority of Malaysia. The ministry added that the other assistance such as electrical and basic equipment will also be distributed through the respective areas' farmers' organization to help ease the burden of residents, especially the farmers, breeders and fishermen. It also said that MAFI Prihatin would be extended to other flood-affected states to ease the burden of the evacuees. A former Senior Principal Assistant Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Based Industry (MOA) pleaded not guilty at the Shah Alam Sessions Court today to 2 counts of charges for accepting bribes amounting to 100,000 ringgit in connection with the issuance of tender for biofertilizer supply and delivery to a company last year. According to the charge sheet, Shahrul Zaman Jaffar, aged 43, who was holding a position as an officer at MOA, allegedly accepted bribes amounting to 70,000 ringgit from Hazrul Hisham Hassan as an incentive for securing a tender for supplying and delivering biofertilizers. For the second charge, the accused received another 30,000 ringgit from the same individual for the same purpose. Shahrul Zaman was charged under Section 16A, Subsection A of Malaysia Anti-Corruption Committee MACC Act 2009, which upon conviction carries a maximum jail term of 20 years or fine not less than 5 times the amount of the bribe or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher. Judge Rihaida Rafi allowed Shahrul Zaman a bill of 10,000 ringgit with one surety for both charges and set 27 January for the remention of case. 2 company directors, including a dato, pleaded guilty at the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court to the charges of assaulting customers and workers and causing public nuisance at a restaurant in Damansara, Petaling Jaya. The accused, Dato' Tan Wai Khan, aged 42, and his friend Ang Mo Lung, aged 40, admitted to the offences after the charges were read before Magistrate Nur Shahira Abdul Salim. Both suspects were accused of causing injuries and hitting Kwan Pei Chung, aged 31, at the respective restaurant. They were charged under Section 323 and Section 34 of the Penal Code, and they face maximum of a year's imprisonment and 2,000 ringgit fine or both if found guilty. The duo were also accused of committing public nuisance, which distressed the restaurant's workers and customers at the same place and time. The offence falls under Section 290 and Section 34 of the Penal Code, which carries a maximum fine of 400 ringgit upon conviction. Meanwhile, Dato' Tan also pleaded guilty to 2 counts of assaulting Magdalene Wong Chung Yi and Lee De Kwan at the same restaurant. However, he claimed trial to causing damage through act of mischief by breaking dishes belonging to Kwan. The court set the 2nd of April for remention of all the cases apart from allowing 10,000 ringgit and 4,000 ringgit bail for all offences against Dato' Tan and Ang, respectively. An Indonesian woman was charged at the Selayang Magistrates Court today with the murder of a 5-year-old grandniece. The accused, Ibzuma Ambo, aged 55, made no plea after the charge was read before Magistrate Nik Muhammad Fadli Nik Azlan. Ibzuma was believed to have murdered the physically disabled girl Kasih Nur Khalisha Rosa Iskandar at their home in Kampung Sungai Cincin, Gombak on 30th December last year. The charge was framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which carries a mandatory death sentence if convicted. Meanwhile, the father of the victim, Rosa Iskandar Mardi, pleaded not guilty to child neglect before Judge Mazia Johari Muhammad Tajuddin at the Sessions Court. He allegedly committed the offence at the same location between the 1st of January and 30th of December last year. He was charged under Section 31, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Child Act 2001, which carries a maximum fine of 50,000 ringgit or a jail term of up to 20 years or both if found guilty. The court allowed the father 8,000 ringgit bail and one surety and ordered the accused to report to the police station every month. Both cases will be up for mention on 18 February. The Perlis Malaysia Quarantine and Inspection Services Department, MAKIS, has confiscated 3.462 tons of shallots worth around 28,000 ringgit for failing to adhere to Federal Agricultural Marketing Authority's FAMA grading, packaging and labelling 3P procedure. Perlis MAKIS Director Muhammad Arshad Rafin said the confiscation came about when MAKIS enforcement officers detained a lorry originating from Thailand at the Padang Besar Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security ICQS cargo unit on 19 January. Upon inspection by the officers, the importer failed to produce the 3P certification by FAMA. The importer was found guilty under Section 15, Subsection 1 of Malaysian Quarantine and Inspection Services Act 2011. According to the Act, importers and exporters are required to comply to the import terms as stated in their permit or license. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, has advised the public to be wary of existence of fraudulent tactics aimed at taking over users' WhatsApp accounts. MCMC in a statement today said the perpetrators use various tricks to deceive users to share a 6-digit verification code received from WhatsApp. According to MCMC, the verification code is generally accepted by users for verification purposes when there is an attempt to change the phone number associated with a WhatsApp account. He said users who are deceived into sharing the verification code can cause their WhatsApp account to be taken over by a scammer. MCMC also urged users to be wary of WhatsApp 6-digit verification code requests from friends or family members or even others claiming to be WhatsApp employees, as well as other parties including authorities. It also advised users, in order to protect themselves from any possible criminal act, to lodge a report regarding the matter at the nearest police station or through MCMC's complaint portal channel. Still to come, Malaysia has the right formula for health economic recovery. Stay with us. ASEAN has to find ways to collectively mitigate cross-border cybercrime as it prepares to emerge as a competitive digital economic bloc in the post-COVID-19 period. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the main challenge facing the regional grouping in the cyber sphere is staying ahead in 2 principal areas: mitigating cybercrime and advancing the digital economy. He pointed out that Malaysia recognized the cross-border nature of cyber crimes and the challenges in bringing cyber criminals to justice, as this required a more coordinated and integrated regional approach.
We must be mindful that cyber threats are rapidly changing and encroaching into every sphere of our lives, including how we communicate, how we work, how we conduct online transactions, how we carry out purchases, and even how we defend our national security. They have also become more sophisticated, complicated, and transboundary in nature. In this regard, ASEAN member states can no longer operate and work in isolation.
Speaking during his keynote address at the first ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting held virtually today, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said ASEAN itself has continuously discussed and expressed its support to the existing set of international rules, norms and principles of responsible behavior of states in cyberspace. The Premier added that Malaysia too is moving towards these security objectives with a comprehensive plan and strategy to provide a secure, trusted and resilient cyberspace, while at the same time fostering economic prosperity for the well-being of all ASEAN member states. In the same development, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025 recognizes information and communications technology (ICT) as a key driver in ASEAN's economic and social transformation. He said the plan aspires to propel ASEAN towards a digitally enabled economy that is secure, sustainable and transformative, and to further leverage ICT for an innovative, inclusive and integrated ASEAN.
I do not wish to dwell on AC 2025 here, but it may be useful to bear in mind the outlined key ICT strategic measures with the emphasis on the importance of centralization and unity in the efforts to develop the ASEAN community in the areas of cyber security, personal data protection, 5G, and promoting innovations in e-commerce.
The Premier further explained that the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected the world since early last year, has accelerated the growth of the digital economy in Malaysia. He said the government has identified the digital economy as one of the keynote economic growth areas to achieve our national commitment of elevating the country to be a nation of sustainable growth while ensuring fair and equitable distribution across income groups, ethnicities and regions. To ensure a secure cross-border data movement amid strengthening the cybersecurity aspect, Malaysia vouched its support for the implementation of initiatives under the ASEAN Digital Data Governance Framework. Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah said it is also to create a trusted e-commerce ecosystem for ASEAN region. Datuk Saifuddin said Malaysia will also introduce initiatives under the ASEAN Data Protection and Privacy Forum and the development of ASEAN model contractual clauses.
Combined with our shared experiences and support from governments, academic, industry, higher learning institutions, lessons learned, and an established synergetic collaboration with public and private organizations across Asia-Pacific and the OIC, Cybersecurity Malaysia, an agency under the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia, has established a local cybersecurity professional certification scheme known as the Global Accreditation Cybersecurity Education Scheme, or in short, Global ACE, which Malaysia would like to offer to ASEAN member states.
Global ACE is responsible for the development of cybersecurity program in ASEAN. Datuk Saifuddin said this during his welcoming speech at the ASEAN Digital Ministers meeting via teleconference this morning. Malaysia has the right formula to position the recovery path in terms of both public health and the economy. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said this is supported by multiple government measures, including Penjana, Kita Prihatin packages as well as Budget 2021 and the recently announced Per My package. He said the combination of the recent decisions involving the overnight policy rate OPR and the statutory reserve requirement SRR, as well as Budget 2021 initiatives including the expediting of vaccine procurement and encouraging screening of employees, was seen as the right formula. He added that the government would commit to do its very best in order to contain the COVID-19 pandemic and to ensure the economic recovery process can be continued. On the central bank's announcement yesterday to extend the flexibility for banking institutions to utilize Malaysian government securities and Malaysian government investment issues to fulfill the SRR until the 31st of December 2022. He said this step ensures ample liquidity to support financial and economic activities. In our foreign front, twin suicide blasts in Baghdad leaves nearly 30 dead. Stay with us.
Application system. Getting emergency assistance is now easier. Save Me 999 Police connects the Malaysian public to the police. Save Me 999 Deaf for those with hearing or speech impairments. And Save Me 999 Blind for those with visual impairments. Download now for free on your smartphones. MERS 999 and applications make emergency calls easier.
Welcome back. A rare twin suicide bombing killed nearly 30 in central Baghdad on Thursday. Iraqi state media said the deadliest attack in the city in 3 years. At least 28 people were killed and another 73 wounded in the attack on a huge open-air market for second-hand clothes in the Iraqi capital's Tayaran Square. The market had been teeming with people following nearly a year of restrictions imposed across the country in a bid to halt the spread of COVID-19. According to an Interior Ministry statement, the first suicide bomber rushed into the market claiming to feel sick. Once a crowd of people had gathered around him, he detonated his explosives. As people then flocked around the victims, a second attacker detonated his bomb. Security forces had cordoned off the area where blood-stained clothes were strewn about the muddy streets. Paramedics were working to remove casualties and Iraq's health ministry said it had mobilized medics across the capital. Thursday's attack was the bloodiest incident in Baghdad since January 2018 when a suicide bomber, also in Tayaran Square, killed more than 30 people. The attack comes as Iraqis prepare for an election, events which are often preceded by bombings and assassinations. The 2018 attack took place just a few months before Iraq's last round of parliamentary elections. Joe Biden's administration unveiled a detailed COVID-19 roadmap Thursday to boost vaccinations and testing while centering scientific expertise after the new U.S. president warned during his inaugural speech that the pandemic was entering its deadliest period. Officials said Biden would immediately sign 10 executive orders and other directives to jumpstart the national strategy, which experts said was sorely missing under his predecessor, Donald Trump. The U.S. is the world's hardest hit country with more than 405,000 deaths, and government models suggest the B.1.1.7 variant imported from Britain could supercharge the outbreak's trajectory in the coming months. The plan has organized goals like restoring the trust of the American people, surging the vaccination campaign, and mitigating viral spread through aggressive masking and testing, while expanding the public health workforce. It also seeks to expand emergency relief and invoke emergency legislation to increase industrial production, safely reopen schools, businesses and travel, protect the most vulnerable and advance racial equity, and restore U.S. global leadership with future pandemic preparedness. The administration is seeking $1.9 trillion from Congress for its plans, which includes $20 billion for vaccines and $50 billion for testing. Malaysian men's women's mixed doubles cleared into quarterfinals of Thai Open. Stay with us. National men's doubles shuttlers Aaron Chia and Soh Woo Yik advanced into the quarterfinal of the Toyota Thailand Open after beating their Indonesian opponents Leo Rolly Karnando and Daniel Martin in the second round today. However, the world number 9 had to battle in a 3-game match 21-12, 6-21, 21-12. In the second round encounter, Aaron and Woo Yik cleared their first game 21-12 in hoping to seal a spot into the quarters with a straight game. A lackluster performance in the second game forced a third and deciding game when the Malaysian duo lost badly 6-21. The Indonesian pair, however, failed to repeat their second game feat and lost to the Malaysians in the decider 21-12, 6-21, 21-12. Apart from Aaron and Woo Yik, also cleared into the quarterfinals are independent mixed doubles Chan Ping Soon and Goh Liu Ying, and women's doubles Vivian Ho and Yap Cheng Wen after winning their second round matches respectively. Runners-up in the Yonex Thailand Open, Goh Vi Shem and Tan Wee Kiong also cleared into the quarters. And in football, Real Madrid suffered an extraordinary defeat in the Copa del Rey on Wednesday as La Liga reigning champions lost 2-1 to Alcoyano, who play in Spain's third tier and had a man sent off in extra time. Zinedine Zidane threw on the likes of Eden Hazard, Karim Benzema and Toni Kroos as substitutes, while Alcoyano's Ramon Lopez was sent off in the 109th minute for a late challenge on Casemiro. Alcoyano were comfortable in their first period, but Madrid scored with their first chance on the stroke of half-time as Marcelo's delivery to the back post found a diving Eder Militao, who headed in. But Madrid still laboured in the second half, even after Benzema replaced Mariano Diaz and Alcoyano equalised in the 82nd minute, a corner flicked on by Lopez to the back post, where the sleeping Vinicius Jr. allowed Jose Solbis a simple finish. Lucas Vazquez went close with a late header, and then Madrid could have had a penalty when Angel booted Militao in a scramble in the box. But without VAR to check, Alcoyano survived. Hazard, Asensio and Kroos all came in for extra time, while Lopez went off, a late challenge on Casemiro, earning him a second yellow card and leaving his team to play the final 11 minutes with 10 men. In the final moments, Ali Diakite's cross poked home by Juan Nan at the front post completed an astonishing victory. That's it from us this evening. In our top story, eateries operation hours extend until 10 p.m. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. Till then, I'm Brendan LePaul. Thanks for watching. Good night.